Okay, there's a lot to cover today. A lot to cover, and I'm doing this video to just sort of my own catharsis here about world issues and practicing articulation and sharpening my mind on issues and oratory skills and so on and so forth, and plus to take my mind off an awful troubling teenage son sometimes. But no, he's a good kid. He just needs to learn some rules. So here we go. A lot in the news. I guess the biggest news story is the judge halting the Pennsylvania's controversial ID law. That's apparently what we're learning today. A Pennsylvania judge halted for the November election a controversial requirement that voters in the state provide photo ID at the polls, a decision expected to influence election day turnout in the battleground state. The ruling by Commonwealth Court Judge Robert Simpson comes exactly 5 weeks before the presidential election puts on hold the law requiring all voters to show either a state driver's license, government ID, or state non-driver ID card in order to vote. The law was passed earlier this year by the Republican-led legislature without a single Democratic lawmaker's vote. Supporters of the voter ID law say it's aimed at ensuring that only those legally eligible to cast ballots, critics say it's designed to keep minority voters who typically vote Democratic away from the polls. State of Pennsylvania has acknowledged that there has never been a case of in-person voter fraud. Never been a case, but apparently politically they're worried about it. And there was a New York Times article that now I'm not sure if I can find here. Yeah, Pennsylvania judge. Here's the take from the New York Times. Judge on Tuesday delayed full implementation of a highly contested state law requiring strict photographic identification to vote in next month's election, saying that the authorities had not done enough to ensure that potential voters had access to the new documents. The judge, Robert Simpson, who upheld the law in August when it was challenged by the liberal and civil rights groups, was instructed by the state Supreme Court 2 weeks ago to hold further hearings. He was told to focus on the question of whether enough had been done to ensure liberal access to the picture ID cards or alternatives. Judge Simpson said in his Tuesday ruling that for the presidential election, voters in Pennsylvania could be asked to produce the newly required photo IDs, but if they did not have them, could still go ahead and vote. So they may ask them to produce them, but they may not know that they don't need them. So here we go, another wrinkle already in it. The decision could still be appealed to the state Supreme Court. While we're happy that voters in Pennsylvania will not be turned away if they do not have ID, we're concerned the ruling will allow election workers to ask for ID at the polls, and this could cause confusion. So confusion at the polls is the next thing. Could cause confusion. Penn DeHare, co-director of Advancement Project, one of the groups that challenged the law. This injunction serves as a mere band-aid for the law's inherent problems, not an effective remedy. Pennsylvania law passed in the spring without any Democratic support is one of 11 similar laws around the country passed by Republican-dominated legislatures. The law's backers say they are trying to ensure the integrity of the electoral process by preventing fraud, but Democrats accuse them of seeking to suppress the votes of the poor and members of the minority groups who tend to have neither the needed ID nor the means to go to state offices and obtain one and then tend to vote Democratic. In opinion surveys, substantial majorities of Americans back the voter ID requirements despite efforts over and over again. The fact that repeated efforts to demonstrate the existence of in-person voter fraud have shown to be very little of it. Pennsylvania is one of the number of swing states that could make the difference in the presidential race between Obama and Romney. So there you have it, a pure political motive, but the masses don't see through it, and we need to see through this. This is the wool's being pulled over our eyes. So voter ID is a very political issue, and people still might be asked for ID, which could create massive confusion. This is what the Republicans want. They want massive confusion at the polls. They want this to happen. So there should be, any good media would make this clear, lucid, that this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to prevent people from voting. If they can create massive confusion, that's what they will do. So that's my take on voter ID, back with a lot more in the news on my second video today. And I'm on a roll.